Hello, welcome to the report about Kite in Nergal, or macro warp Kite in Nergal. As usual, we will start with the feed. The feed is the same as I showed you in the peak video. I found there is really no need to change anything. It works fine. If you want to add blink, then I suggest to use function gun for more range and Dead Space macro warp drive for more speed. But I think it works fine as is. The only expensive module that you really need is the 8A prep, because this is the tank, a permanent tank is one of your win conditions. And I also used 3 boosters. Exile and Overclocker are a no-brainer, obviously. Frantics is very useful to extend your optimal range, but it has some really nasty side effects on top speed and on repair amount, so you can skip it or you can just roll the dice and hope that you don't get any side effects. And the rest is, I think, fairly self-explanatory. Meson is your main ammo for the maximum range. Okay, what are my impressions for this feed and for this ship in general? I think it is definitely one tier above all the other assault frigates, but it's certainly not OP or anything like this. There are 2 major limiting factors for Nergal. The first one is obviously the cost. You will be paying at least 5 times more than for the typical assault frigate. Typical assault frigate would be something like 50 to 70 million, and Nergal is something like 250, 350, depending on how much blink do you wanna put in this ship. And the second major limiting factor is the range. So you are trying to kite in this feed, but in general you are trying to kite with Nergal. You do not really want to brawl in a frigate with only 3 medium slots that is so vulnerable to tracking disruptors. Like you can see in this video even, I'm against Navy Hookbill with double tracking disruptors, and my optimal range is like 9 kilometers with the longest range ammo. Of course, I'm not really threatened by this matchup specifically, because I still can escape anytime I want, but it just shows you that you need to bring a fair amount of control to kind of utilize your strengths. And even like setting aside the problem with vulnerability to tracking disruptors, your range is still really poor for a kiting ship. With Frantics, you can extend it to like 23 kilometers if you blink out the gun, when it will be like 20 or 25 kilometers, I think. But still, it's not really enough to comfortably control everything on grid. And because of that, you cannot really fight against multiple opponents, because you cannot really maneuver around multiple opponents because you're so limited by your range. 1v1, this ship is really good, but even 1 versus 2, it will become extremely tricky to navigate the grid, to navigate around the grid and still keep up with spool. So it's a very strong ship, but it's not overpowered. It has some very clear limiting factors. And it also has a couple of very strong traits. first one is the tank. The tank on Nergal is incredible. Like, even with a single A-type rep, you pretty much cannot lose a DPS fight in at a kiting range, so to say. So of course, if you are caught by close range anti-kiter, you will not be able to tank it. But on a normal 16, 15, 20 kilometer range, you can just face tank everything 1v1 without even need of tracking disruptor or some fancy mitigation that is generally required for our assault frigates. And second very strong feature of this ship is DPS. Even without spool, you still dish out with drones about 150 DPS, which is as much as any other assault frigate has at the peak, essentially. So you can't really get more than 150, 160 DPS out of Light Missile Hawk or Relish Core. Retributions have more damage, but they have a bunch of weaknesses to trade it. So, like, if you can stay within spool range, even for like a minute or even a bit less than that, the DPS becomes like really, really strong for a kiting ship. So as a summary, I think it is something that you can consider, like if you are a relatively experienced pilot, frigate pilot, and you want something different, then Nergal is something that you should try, I think. It's not too strong, but you probably get reasonable value for the price, at least for 1v1s. And the style for this ship is not typical compared to many other kiters. In many other kiters, you generally try to be relatively like risk averse and try to clear the grid until you establish full control. In this one, you have to be quite aggressive, and the deeper you are in the spool, the more aggressive you have to be to keep this spool. So it's an interesting ship for sure. You can learn something if you use it. I found it quite enjoyable. Okay, next time I will try the overprop Nergal, and I will record a separate video with my impressions about this fit. I think it will have a couple of strengths and weaknesses compared to the macro warp drive Nergal, but I want to test it first. So see you in this separate video. Bye bye.